one of my favorite things we got this year is from the movie, Charlton Heston's version of the Ten Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille. These are the actual Ten Commandments that Cecil B. DeMille had on his desk from actual stone taken from the top of Mount Sinai. And this is in what they think is an old ancient Canaanite language, is what the Ten Commandments they think might have been.
And by the way, just because I'm a lot older, if you don't know, Cecil B. DeMille was a great Hollywood director, one of the best ever, Academy Award winner. He was called the father of the biblical epic. He goes all the way back to the beginning of Hollywood in the early 1900s, where he did silent movies, and his early silent movies were, so many of them were about Christ and telling the story of the Bible. And so he's the guy who founded Paramount Studios. So Paramount Films, Cecil B. DeMille is the guy with that, and this is one of his epic biblical epics. He did 9,000 extras involved in filming this. So if you don't know Cecil B. DeMille, a little background.
And if you haven't seen the Ten Commandments, totally worth going and seeing the Ten Commandments. But these are actual Ten Commandments from stone taken off the top of Mount Sinai that belong to Cecil B. DeMille, that sat on his desk. So this definitely is one of my favorites. Of the many things we got this year, this is definitely one of mine.
So one of my favorites is over here across the way. And by the way, we've kind of redone a whole lot of this part of the museum. We've got so many things to display and so many things to show. And so we kind of shifted out. But over here is part of the World War II section. And you see two really big flags behind me here. Now, and World War II, by the way, Tim mentioned earlier, we're doing another American storybook. When it comes out, it's really got so many stories of World War II, so many of the heroes, so many of the personal stories we don't get much about, Medal of Honor winners, what they did. Just it's not just the history of the war, it's a history of the people in the war, and that's what's so cool. Well, one of the really neat things is in World War II, and by the way, Medal of Honor winners, you got people like Desmond Doss. That's such a cool story, and Mel Gibson did such a good job of bringing that to the screen with Hacksaw Ridge. But that was the part you saw of Hacksaw Ridge that was so compelling. Actually, Desmond Doss got the Medal of Honor for something that happened a few days later, not just what you saw in the movie. So there's so much more even to that story, and I'm so glad Mel Gibson brought that out. But back to World War II, you see this ship here. This is the battleship flag, this American flag, but so is this. And now this is a Christian flag, and actually this Christian flag, we've got it folded up on the end. It's actually longer than the battle flag or the battleship flag. And this is a flag that would fly twice a day on the ship, and it would fly calling the sailors to divine service. So whenever there was a time to get together and pray and hear God's word and have the chaplain lead in prayer, they would fly that flag, and they would fly it above the American flag. And people say, wait a minute, you can't fly anything above the American flag. Yes, you can. Even in the flag code today, you still fly the God flag above the country flag. So that's still part of the flag code today. But that I love that. That's an original World War II flag that was flown to call people to divine service. And so that's just part of the cool World War II stuff that we were able to obtain this year. Now here's some more stuff back on the other side with the signers of the Declaration, signers of the Constitution.
Well, and I would say probably the biggest thing from this year is, of course, the signers wall behind us, where all 56 signers of the Declaration are here, all 39 signers of the Constitution are here, and we actually looked this up because we were curious how many collections there could be. And so Button Gwinnett is the guy who allegedly is going to be the hardest one to find his signature.
He's a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He didn't
We're using this camera now. He changed
We're that
on us.
One? Okay. He's a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He did not last long because shortly after he signed, he got in a duel with a general in the Revolution, and in that duel he died. So he wasn't in office very long, didn't have a chance to sign many documents.
So how many documents, when you looked it up, do you remember it was 51 or 52?
The question is, how many places in America might have full collections of all 39 signers of the Constitution or all 56 signers of the Declaration? Button Gwinnett signed only 51 documents in his life.
That's the question I was looking for.
51.
So there's 51. So there could be no more than 51 of these. But as we started looking, so we just naturally are going to assume that the Smithsonian is going to have all of them. The Library of Congress, which would then include like the National Archives, like they're going to have all of them. So you have at least 2 or 3 full sets up in DC. Now they're not on display.
Yeah, they're not available.
They have full sets of them. But then we started looking, okay, are there private collectors that have the full collection, signers of the con, signers of the deck, and have them on display? Because if they're not on display, there's questions about do they really have the whole collection or not. And we've only found maybe one or two places that think they have the full collection, and they're not even really on display. So this is literally the only place that we know of in America.
We think there's only 2 or 3 total that are available to be seen, and you know, we know that the women at the Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. have one of every sign of the Constitution, but nothing about the Declaration.
Right, and this is, again, this is why this is the only place we know of in America that you can come and see all the signers of the Declaration and all the signers of the Constitution on one wall. And we're actually doing a lot more now. We're working with stuff on the web to be able to, when you come and have a visit with your phone, you can kind of scan over and you can click on the link and it's going to go and you can find the history about the story about those people. So we're trying to do things to make this even more accessible, and it's stuff that you might not even have to be here to be able to enjoy all of this, but this is just some of what's there now. And in the midst of maybe these large artifacts, we've collected hundreds and hundreds, and then I have a hard time slowing this man down from hitting the purchase button all the time. We are buying so much to preserve the history of America. And in the midst of all the things we've done, the telling of the story becomes very significant. And actually, we have the opportunity all throughout the year to be on various news outlets, to be on various TV programs telling some of the story. Here's just a glimpse of that.